following is a deep dive podcast generated by Notebook LM based on content from my upcoming book. In this podcast, we answer this question: how can sales professionals break free from the tyranny of how and deliver solutions that provide true, measurable value for their customers? And now, let's listen to the podcast.
All right, so get this. Today's deep dive is taking us into the world of sales, but with a twist. We're drawing inspiration from Braveheart. Yeah, you heard that right, Braveheart.
It's not as far-fetched as it sounds. The document we're diving into, it actually connects the fight for freedom to the principles of value selling.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. I think we've all been there, right? Like, we get sold on some shiny new solution that's promising us the moon and the stars, only to find out later it doesn't really fit what we need. This document calls that trap the tyranny of how, this whole idea of being blinded by the how of a solution without really understanding the why or the measurable what.
Yeah, it's like being so focused on the mechanics of how a car works that you never even stop to think about why you even need a car in the first place. Like, are you commuting every day? Are you trying to haul a bunch of stuff around? Are you just looking for something flashy to drive? The why should always drive the what, and that's where value selling comes in.
So instead of just being told, hey, this engine has 500 horsepower, which, don't get me wrong, that sounds pretty impressive on paper, but like, what we should be asking is, will this car actually get me where I need to go? Efficiently, affordably, comfortably.
Exactly. Value selling shifts the conversation from just pushing products to really understanding and solving those customer pain points, but with quantifiable benefits this time.
Okay, so where does Braveheart fit into all of this?
Well, think about William Wallace, right? Think about his big famous speech. He wasn't exactly rallying his troops with vague promises of a better life. He gave them a powerful why, this really strong why freedom. And he didn't just leave it at that. He actually painted a vivid picture of what that freedom would look like.
So are you saying our sales pitches should involve blue face paint and kilts? I'm just kidding, sort of. But I see what you mean. It's about connecting with that deeper motivation, that core need.
Precisely. Just like Wallace fighting for a reason, for something he really believed in, solutions should always serve a clear purpose, a really concrete why that truly resonates with the customer's needs and goals.
So no more vague promises. We need to bring those measurable results to the table.
Yeah.
The concrete what that actually shows the real impact of the solution.
And to do that, we need to kind of flip the script. Instead of leading with the how, value selling starts by understanding the customer's why. What challenges are they facing? What are they ultimately trying to achieve? What's holding them back?
It's like a doctor diagnosing a patient before they just start prescribing medication.
Right.
You wouldn't want a doctor to just throw a bunch of pills at you without even figuring out what's actually wrong, would you?
Right. And once you really understand the why, you can then start to define the what. What specific, measurable outcomes will this solution actually deliver for them? Will it be increased revenue, reduced costs, improved efficiency maybe? These tangible bottom-line impacts, that's what really resonates with decision makers.
So we've gone from these flashy solutions to understanding the why and the what that really matters, but how do we actually prove that value? How do we make sure we're not just buying into more empty promises?
Yeah. Well, that's where this often overlooked but really crucial concept of value auditing comes in.
Okay, value auditing. Sounds a little intimidating, like something you only do if you're being audited by the IRS. What's the deal with that?
I promise it's not as scary as it sounds. Think of it less like an audit and more like, say, tracking your fitness progress.
Okay, I'm listening.
You wouldn't just go to the gym aimlessly and just hope for the best, right? You'd set some goals, maybe track your workouts, measure your progress along the way. Value auditing, it's basically the same idea, but for, your business solutions.
So instead of just assuming that the solution is working its magic, we're actually, keeping tabs on the results.
I like it. Exactly. It's all about setting clear metrics up front, just like you might track your weight or your reps at the gym or how many miles you're running, and then monitoring those metrics throughout the entire life cycle of the solution. This way, you're not just taking someone's word for it, You actually have the data to back it up.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like that old saying, what gets measured gets managed. But how does this tie back to the whole Braveheart thing? Were they doing value audits back then?
Maybe not in the literal sense, but think about it this way. William Wallace, He wasn't just fighting for one battle, one fleeting victory. He was fighting for lasting freedom, right? A truly sustainable future for his people. Value auditing plays into that same idea of long-term impact. It shifts the conversation from just a one-off transaction to an ongoing partnership.
So it's less about selling at that point and more about really building that trust, that collaboration.
Absolutely. When you have that shared commitment to measuring and actually proving value, it really changes the whole dynamic. It's no longer about like the salesperson trying to convince you of something. It becomes more of a collaborative effort to achieve, those shared goals.
It's like, moving from that quick fling to a real long-term relationship, but in a business sense, right? Where you're both really invested in each other's success.
Precisely. And that requires, a certain level of boldness, a willingness to really challenge the status quo. Just like William Wallace. Remember, he was fighting against these seemingly impossible odds, for something he truly believed in.
So you're saying we should all channel our own inner William Wallace when it comes to, buying solutions for our business? Face paint optional, of course.
Well, maybe not the face paint, but that unwavering commitment to demanding real value, to never settling for anything less than what you deserve. That's something we can all learn from, I think.
So to bring it all home for our listeners today, what have we learned? What are those key takeaways you really want them to remember long after this deep dive is over?
I think it all boils down to this. Don't be a passive bystander in the buying process. Don't just accept the how at face value. You know what I mean? Be bold, be inquisitive, demand to understand the why behind the solution, and this is crucial, the measurable what, the tangible benefits that actually align with your specific needs and your goals.
And don't be afraid to ask for proof. Ask for those case studies, those testimonials, and yes, a clear plan for value auditing, because if a solution really delivers what it promises, the data is going to speak for itself.
Absolutely. It's about, empowering yourself to make those informed, those value-driven decisions. Whether you're buying software, hiring a consultant, heck, even choosing a new restaurant.
Now, here's a final thought to ponder as you go about your day, okay? Think back to a time where you felt really stuck in a decision. Maybe it was a major purchase you were wrestling with, or even like a career crossroads. Is it possible, could it be, that you were trapped by that tyranny of how? Too focused on just the options right in front of you instead of taking a step back and really defining your own why and your own what. Just some food for thought as you navigate that next big decision point in your life. And hey, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, you have the power to break free from that tyranny of how, right? And demand more from the choices that you make.
So there it is. What do you think? To recap, we covered understanding the tyranny of how, flipping the script with value selling, and empowering customers to measure value over time. Number 1, understanding the tyranny of how. We explained the tyranny of how, where decision makers buy solutions without clear reasons for why they're needed or what benefits they'll deliver, leaving teams struggling to justify and implement them. Number 2, flipping the script with value selling. Value selling changes the focus from the how to the why and what. We shared how value selling begins by addressing customer pain points, leading to measurable financial benefits and ensuring solutions fit real needs. And number 3, empowering customers to measure value over time. True empowerment in value selling means giving customers the tools to track the value of their investment from start to finish. We highlighted how this approach builds trust and shifts relationships from one-time transactions to lasting partnerships. This is the Communicating Value Podcast. My name is Paul. I'm the Value Coach, and thanks for joining.